Here they come then. A venture into the unknown. They've got a bit of an idea from the formation lap where the dry patches are, where the damp patches still are, but it is drying fast. As I say, the complex more or less dry now. At the back of the circuit, sounds like it's taking a bit longer to dry. It's still going to be tricky out there, particularly to begin with for those that have selected the red sidewalled hard tyre, which takes longer to get up to temperature anyway, including Ash Sutton. But he is pretty good, let's say, when it's slippy conditions. A race winner here on his very first season of the championship in absolutely torrential rain where there was zero grip back in 2016. We got his maiden win. He's 11th on the grid though, with work to do in this race. The last few cars just making their way to the grid hatchings. Once they do, the marshal will wave the flag at the back to tell the marshals on the start gantry that we're ready to get into the start procedure. The lights will come on and they'll go red, and as soon as they go out, we'll be underway for round 16 of the championship and 15 laps of racing. Tom Ingram and Dan Camish, the front pair, second and third in the championship. Here we go then. The lights come on, they go red, the noise rises, the crescendo gets underway, and we're off, and it's a decent start for Tom Ingram as he makes his way off the line. Dan Camish is kind of going with him, but Ingram goes across to cover off the inside line. Mikey Doble with a pretty decent start as well. Looks like he's going to hang on to third place, and it'll be Rowbottom in fourth ahead of Chilton. Chilton then sent out wide and maybe about to lose another place all the way through that first corner at Clervaux. All filters in and squeezes in now as they go into Hawthorne, and Chilton gets a tag from behind which sends him off the road, taking a cone with him, and that means he loses momentum coming onto the back straight. Rowbottom gets past him, he loses two more places. It was the BMW that made contact with him, with Charles Rainford just behind, so terrible start really for him. And then we got Sarah Proctor getting stuck in at the inside of Dan Rowbottom as well. He was one of the other drivers that came past Chilton onto the back straight. Then he dived up the inside of Robo in the 32 Napa Racing Ford Focus on the way into Tower Bend. So Senna Proctor, the Yorkshireman, with a decent start there in the Hyundais, up into the top five behind Ingram, Camish, Doble and Rowbottom. They make their way through Barcroft for the first time. Fastest part of the circuit, very twitchy indeed. Rowbottom coming through and Chilton coming through as they both gain places now. And in the background,
up to third now. It's Proctor. It's Doble that was losing the positions.
Doble losing them, and the Vauxhall.
What a first lap from Senna Proctor. He started 8th and he's up
mega,
to third.
Absolutely mega from Proctor. He is loving these conditions. Got a race win in changeable damp conditions. His first race win of the championship back at Brands Hatch a few years ago. But at the end of the first lap of the race, it is Ingram from Camish, from Proctor, Rowbottom in fourth, Chilton in fifth, Doble. Good start initially, but down to sixth from third on the grid at the end of the first lap of the race. De Leon has gained 3 places to seventh. Sutton has gained 3 places to eighth. That's not supposed to happen on the hard tyre. Then Rainford, who was involved in that contact through the chicane with the Tom Chilton Hyundai, and Taylor Smith rounding out the top 10. Dan Lloyd's not had a good start either, as he down to 11th from 6th.
Yeah, but interesting how some have gone really well on that first lap, others have not. Mikey Doble now under threat from Darryl De Leon as they head down towards Tower Bend, and the BMW dives up the inside, a small lock up, but on the inside line I think Darryl De Leon will go through up into 6th position. So he's another driver who's making good progress, and then behind them extraordinarily Ash Sutton on those hard tyres, but making them work up into that 8th position as they head down towards the Jim Clark S's on the second lap. Through sector 1, Camish bringing the gap down to race leader Tom Ingram. The gap was 6 tenths, 2 tenths quicker through sector 1, means the gap's down to 4 tenths between the top two. Meanwhile, a big battle for fourth going on between Dan Rowbottom and Tom Chilton. Yeah,
and Taylor Smith gaining a place at Tower Bend as well on the BMW of Rainford, so he's up into 9th position. And at the back of the circuit, we've got a very ailing Nick Hamilton, isn't it, going slowly down the back straight as the race leaders make their way into the hairpin at the end of the second lap of 15, and the gap is less than half a car length now between the top two, Tom Ingram and Dan Camish. After his fantastic first lap or so, Proctor is kind of stuck in third place now, well clear of Rowbottom in fourth, but not catching up to the top two. Then Chilton crosses the line 5th, and De Leon in 6th place, Doble in 7th, Sutton the best on the hard tyres in 8th place, Taylor Smith after that move at Tower Bend in 9th, Rainford, the driver he overtook under braking into Tower Bend, down into 10th place, but 2 BMWs going well in the top 10. But at the end of that lap, over half a second between the top two. However, slightly quicker by less than a tenth was Camish. He's got the fastest lap of the race now, and he's very good under braking, isn't he, on the way to Tower.
Mikey Doble off, I think, out of the chicane was that? Yes, just opposite us. So Mikey Doble's bad start has just gone really, really poorly indeed. And I'm afraid Mikey Doble, I think, connected with the tyre wall. There was damage also to Nick Hamilton. We said he was slowing on the previous lap. What happened to Doble? He ran a little bit wide out of the chicane, touched the grass, and then that fired him off left front first into the tyre wall. I think he has been able to get back going again, but that was all on his own. Was that the damp curbs, I wonder, coming out of the corner that just caught him out?
Yeah, Nick Hamilton coming into the pits as he recovered. Doble was overtaken by Max Buxton. The race leaders are just coming into the ever drier chicane section now, which is that left-right S-bend section into the complex, into the hairpin, then the slowest corner on the lap. The gap has come down a little bit more to the eye between the top two. Cammish is really giving Ingram a run for his money here. On his own in third is Proctor, and then fourth, fifth and sixth fairly close together, but Rowbottom not really under too much pressure from Chilton or De Leon. A bit further back, the Toyotas starting to come through the field now as well. Taylor Smith lost places on the first lap of the race. He's the first of the Toyotas, but then you've got Shedden and Dorlin both starting to come through the order now from lower grid positions, and Shedden is up into 13th place now.
Race leaders out of the chicane on lap 4 of 15. On the previous lap, Tom Ingram set the fastest, lap 1:24.0. So the lap time's coming down as the track continues to dry out through the first sector. Ingram better than Cammish, so the gap starts to extend between the two of them. Those two, though, clearly fast anybody else. The only one within a second of their pace is Senna Proctor in third.
Yeah, and I think we might be about to get a James Dorlin move here. He's looking to go around the outside to gain a place. Doesn't quite work on the way into Tower Bend. So he got Smiley Lloyd in the restart Hyundais, and then the Toyotas of Shedden and Dorlin all knocking on the door of the top 10, all having a pretty close battle together. Those four cars making their way as one. Shedden, it's the first of the Toyotas in that particular battle, and it looked like he got a really good run out through Croft. So Shedden might be having a go down the inside of the first of the restart cars on the way into Sunny. I kept an eye on Tom Chilton as well. He was mega on the brakes at the end of the back straight into Tower Bend. He really took a huge chunk out of the advantage of that Napa Ford that he's trying to catch of Dan Rowbottom. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a good run out of the chicane on the next lap. If Chilton, who's on the boost at the moment with the green light flashing as he goes over the line, that number 3 Hyundai for Team Virtue, he might have a go on the way into Tower Bend next time through, because he was absolutely immense on the brakes on the previous lap. He just needs to get within a couple of car lengths of the car that he's trying to hold on to through the chicane. Ingram is now pulling away for sure from Cammish. The gap's suddenly grown to 1.3 seconds. Proctor in third, falling away from both of them. But here comes Tom Chilton. He is on that boost again. He's closing up again, coming out of the chicane, but he's not quite close enough to find a gap, and he remains behind Rowbottom and in 5th place.
You mentioned how Dan Lloyd's start didn't go to plan. He's now behind his restart racing teammate Chris Smiley. Smiley, who's on the hards, softs for Lloyd, and obviously Lloyd started 5th, where Smiley started back in 14th, so that's another driver like Mikey Doble whose first race has not gone to plan. Dan Lloyd currently in 12th. Big battle through the Jim Clark S's, though, further up the order for 8th and 9th, where Charles Rainford is looking to the inside of Aaron Taylor Smith through Barcroft. That was fully committed from the former Porsche Carrera Cup race winner, and Charles Rainford goes up into 8th position.
Bit good that, wasn't it? Really good move at the fastest part of the circuit from Rainford in the white and blue LKQ Euro car parts BMW. Get a replay of it if you're near a big screen from the ITV pictures here at Croft. Meanwhile, Tom Chilton again closing up through the complex onto Rowbottom, but Robo is good coming out of the corners and fends him off. Sutton is okay where he is. He doesn't look like he's going to make it much more progress, but 7th place from 11th, and with the hard tyre out of the way, putting himself in a good position for races 2 and 3. If you're in the top 3, if you're Ingram, Cammish and Proctor, if you finish there, you've got to use the hard tyre in the next race, which is going to be slower.
Although Sutton is 6 tenths quicker than Darrell De Leon ahead of him, so his progress might not be over just yet if that continues at a consistent rate. Meanwhile, those restart racing teammates have just swapped round into Clairvaux for 11th position. Dan Lloyd went down the inside of Chris Smiley, and now Smiley has Gordon Shedden on his tail as they come out of the chicane on lap 6 of 15. Meanwhile, the lead gap 1.4 seconds, so that really quick lap Ingram did 2 laps ago has sort of put him in that a nice margin between him and Dan Cammish. So Cammish has got to try and work away to close him back in over the final 10 laps.
Yeah, Cammish was a 10th quicker through the first sector. He's actually just done the absolute best first sector of the race in the number 27 Ford Focus, so he's closed the gap a little bit through that part.
He's on the boost on this lap, so that might be what's helping him bring the gap back down. He's got 1 extra lap of boost to use during the course of that race, and he's using it now. And
he was the absolute best through sector 2 until Dan Rowbottom went through the timing beam, because he's just done the absolute best second sector, and then it changes again because Rainford, now free of Taylor Smith, has got a very good second sector as well, so it is getting quicker and quicker and quicker out there. So we'll keep an eye on the progress of Rainford. He's got a big gap to try and bridge if he's to get any more for positions. This gaggle of cars, though, making its way out of the hairpin. This next group over the start-finish line is the one to watch in terms of racing. Morgan versus Lloyd. And Lloyd has got the inside line. He's on the boost. He's looking to the inside here, and he's about to dive down the inside in the restart racing. Hyundai, he's going to get through. Surely he does. He's neat and tidy on the way out of the corner, and that's a lovely move. So that puts Lloyd back into the top 10, into 10th place. Morgan down to 11th, and then Smiley and Shedden for company. Not too far behind them. Aidan Moffat as well. Also, these most of these on the hard tyre. Lloyd is on the soft. Smiley, Shedden, Moffat and Dorlin behind, all on the hard tyre.
Yeah, so Dan Lloyd did that similar move on Chris Smiley a lap ago, didn't he? So now he'll be looking to escape on those softs while the battle continues between three drivers on the hard Goodyear tyre. Chris Smiley in the middle, trying to chase after Adam Morgan, with Gordon Shedden chasing them down through the Jim Clark S's as we come up to the halfway point in this race. And our first black and white driving standards flag, presumably for track limits, goes to the third place car, Senna Proctor, so he can't afford to do that again as it gets very, very tight down at Sunny, as Gordon Shedden looked to go down the inside of Chris Smiley, who in turn was having a go at Adam Morgan, but in the end they all stay in the same order.
Now, Sutton has taken a big chunk out of Daryl de Leon's advantage on this lap again as well. So the next two out of the hairpin, that battle is going to be almost nose to tail or somewhere on the next lap of the race. So Sutton closing up once again, even though he's on the harder tyre. He goes through. De Leon does a 1 minute 24.4. Sutton is 4/10ths quicker with a 1:24.0. And again, he's able to close up under braking on the way into Hawthorne. The soft tyre, stickier tyre, is better on the brakes as well. It should allow you to brake later and carry the speed through the corner. But Ash Sutton is Ash Sutton, the four-time champion. He's coming after the one-time race winner. Got his debut victory at Brands. Actually so much better on the brakes at the end of the back straight, so Sutton gets that gap down to the BMW to just over a car length now.
Yeah, so where could that challenge come? Sutton sort of going against everything we expected out of this race on the hard tyres. The next best driver on hard is Adam Morgan in 11th position, but Ash Sutton's pace is a whole second quicker than Adam Morgan's. Meanwhile, battles behind Chris.
Yeah, Gordon Shedden all over Chris Smiley through Tower Bend, and on the way out of Tower Bend he thought about putting two wheels on the grass to try and find a way past into the Jim Clark S's, but eventually had to back off. But he was three-quarters alongside, so Shedden having a good run here. The team said the car was in good form, but the drivers succumbed, most of them, apart from Aaron Taylor-Smith, to track limits penalties, so they were expecting to come forward in this race. They seem to have unlocked the car somewhat at their home race speedworks at Alton Park last time out, as Sutton gets up the inside into the hairpin of Daryl de Leon and gets that position done at the first time of asking, really. That was his first chance to get through, and he grabbed it with both hands. So Sutton now from 11th on the grid up to 6th place.
Yeah, great drive that from Ash Sutton. A very late dive up the inside. Daryl de Leon, I don't think saw that coming. Didn't fend off Ash Sutton, and Sutton was able to get the car turned in through the hairpin, get on the power without coming back under threat. So Ash Sutton's phenomenal drive this to be up into 6th position from 11th on the grid, passing drivers with theoretically quicker tyres on, but the multiple champion showing why he's achieved what he has in the championship to go up into 6th position. That might be it now, though, because he is 6 seconds behind the next car, which is Tom Chilton. A second driver to get a driving standards flag is Aidan Moffat. He is a bit further down the order, isn't he? He's on the hard tyres in 14th. And he is being told turned 5 and 11. I think we had 8 and 11 for Senna Proctor, so slightly different corners being transgressed. But at this point, no penalty coming. But there are 7 laps to go, and they've got to be very careful. Turn
5 was the one that was catching them out most in qualifying yesterday, the chicane. And I'm told it was the left-hand part of the chicane rather than the right-hand part of the chicane. And some drivers didn't know that, so they would say, well, I'm well in. But on the right turn of the chicane, it was the left that was the problem. And we've got these battle raging on here still between Toyota and Hyundai, between Smiley and Shedden. And Shedden is almost there now. He's fully alongside, but he's on the outside line of Smiley. He's trying to go all the way around the outside of Chris Smiley here to get the inside line when they eventually get to turn 1. He's still trying to do it, but the gap closes, the door closes. He almost goes on the grass. He's on the boost. Shedden as they go side by side over the line. Again, though, he's going to have to try and go around the outside of Chris Smiley. He'd be a brave driver to do that. He is a brave driver. Shedden has contact, and Smiley is sent off and into the barriers and out of the race. Contact between Shedden and Smiley, who are together all the way through that lap. They've been together for a few laps, and that time they were a bit too close together. So that puts pay to Smiley's race. Will he be able to get out of the gravel trap and get back on circuit? Not sure, because it was a fairly hefty hit with the barriers, that.
one person would like to get out the gravel is Tom Ingram, who's got a 2.7 second lead, because if that car doesn't leave the gravel trap, I think we know what might come next. But into the complex comes the race leader, Tom Ingram, who has that large gap over Dan Camish. Anna Proctor third, battle on for fourth, as we are going to get the safety car. Dan Rowbottom was under pressure from Tom Chilton, but we are going to get the safety car at the end of 10 laps with Chris Smiley's car there in the gravel trap after the incident described by Chris Hartley. Someone that could buy out of this, of course, is Ash Sutton. We mentioned how he was 6 seconds behind the next car, and the safety car will close all those gaps up.
Sutton's best lap is a 1:23.528, which is actually last time around. Chilton's best lap, for example, the car ahead of him, at 3/10 slower than that, so it could be interesting. And the theory is that the hard tyre lasts longer than the soft tyre as well, so the longer the race goes on, the warmer it gets, the better it becomes for the hard tyre. So this is playing nicely into the hands of Ash Sutton. If you need a big screen, a replay of this incident. So Shedden tried to come around the outside, that dead level going into the corner, and then he cuts across. He just clips the left rear corner of Smiley's car, but that is enough to tip the Hyundai round at those speeds. Just unsettled it enough, and it whipped around very quickly. Smiley couldn't do anything about that, and I think Shedden was just trying to tuck in behind him. He just clipped him. He wasn't really trying to overtake there. He was trying to tuck back in behind him, and whether Smiley moved a bit more than he expected, or whether he just misjudged it, don't know, but the end result is that Chris Smiley, he's out of the car is in the gravel trap, and the safety car has been deployed, and Tom Ingram's 2-second lead has completely evaporated. So Ingram leads, Camish is second, Proctor is third, Rowbottom fourth, Chilton fifth. First of the drivers on the hard tyre is Sutton in sixth, De Leon is seventh, Rainford eighth, Taylor Smith ninth, Lloyd in 10th, and then Morgan 11th, Shedden 12th, and then Moffat 13th. And Morgan, Shedden and Moffat all on the hard tyre as well. 14th place on the soft is Patterson, and then 15th place on the hard tyre, holding on to the last championship point at the moment, is James Dorlin. 16th on the hard tyre as well, just outside the points is Sam Osborne. 17th is Nick Halstead. 18th, and this is good news for him, is Mikey Doble, because we know, of course, he's a quick driver in that car. He had that spin coming out of the chicane early on in the race, but now he's got them all queued back up in front of him. Doble might be able to pick a few off when we get the race back up to speed. So watch out for the number 88 Vauxhall, the Motorparts Direct Power Max run car of last year's Independence Championship runner-up in 18th place. Jelly in 19th place, getting used to life as an unlimited driver in the Cupra, having switched from One Motorsport, who are absent this weekend. So he's 19th. Buxton is 20th. Smiley is out, and Hamilton out as well. And the fastest lap of the race, the bonus point coming to Tom Ingram at the moment, and he gets a point for leading a lap as well. So 20 points plus those 2 extra points, 22 points coming his way. Ash Sutton currently in 6th place, but I think, Josh, he might be coming forward, as you said, and will get laps added onto the race distance, up to an extra 3 laps if they are lost to a safety car.
Yeah, obviously Tom Ingram won't be able to gain any more points after the safety car because he's currently on the maximum, as you say, but Ash Sutton has that opportunity should he be able to pass any cars ahead. The car immediately ahead, of course, is Tom Ingram's teammate, Tom Chilton, who won't make it terribly easy, I'm sure. And Chilton, throughout those last few laps, was putting Dan Rowbottom under threat. The other thing to look out for on the restart is how many booster laps everybody's got. Well, Tom Ingram and Dan Camish, the top 2, are currently on 2 each, but the cars behind have got more. Senna Proctor's 5, Dan Rowbottom 3, Tom Chilton 4, so they've all got opportunities in the remaining laps to move forward. We're currently on lap 12 of what would have been 15, but we can extend the race, as Chris was describing, due to the safety car being out. The safety car lights are currently out on top of the car, though. That means the safety car is coming in, so that means we get 2 extra laps, I think, which means there are 5 laps of the race to go, Chris.
That's right, and as it stands, 22 points coming the way of Ingram, 10 coming the way of Sutton, who's slowing, got the hairpin, got a problem, and he's pit bound. He's got a puncture, front right puncture for Ash Sutton.
Right front puncture.
Yeah, coming your way. So disaster for him. I was about to say, as it stands, he's already about to lose the championship lead by 3 points. That's now going to become another 10-point swing if Tom Ingram stays in the lead of the race, because Dan Camish has certainly had a nibble up the inside of him on the way into Hawthorne. Throws the car over the curbs, does the race leader coming out through the chicane. He gets a rocket ship run actually coming onto the back straight, so he doubles his advantage over Camish, then Proctor, and then you got this battle going on for 4th between Rowbottom Robotham and Chilton, and then up to 6th place now, De Leon, and then we've got the BMW of Rainford, which has lost a place as well to Taylor Smith. So he split the BMWs on the restart and is up to 7th place. So Taylor Smith, the Irish driver, back where he started now in 7th place.
All is not well with Ash Sutton's car. You know, they've changed the tyre and then they pushed the car back into pit lane. It just sounded like he was in neutral. So they've now pushed the car back into the 45-degree angle in front of the garage, and poor old Ash, after what was a tremendous drive on the hard tyre, but the engine is now off.
Curious, isn't it, to get the puncture when you're behind the safety car as well. So whether he's clipped somebody or there's some debris on circuit.
It was strange because he was on the inside of the corner going through the hairpin. Whether he'd already got the puncture, was just getting out of the way, or something else had happened prior to that. I didn't see that. We'll see if we get any replays on the big screens. Either way, that's a potential championship deciding moment, isn't it? Because he's going to lose so many points, and it makes the rest of the day much more difficult.
Yeah, it's his first DNF of the year. It's the first time he hasn't been in the points so far this year. It's the first time he hasn't finished in the top 10 this year, Ash Sutton. And worse still, as you say, maximum points as it stands coming the way of his championship rival, Tom Ingram. And he's going to have to start at the back of the grid for the next race. But I think he's away, Alan.
He's been sent on his way, yeah, whatever it was. I'll see what I can do to find out from the team. But whatever it was, he's back out on circuit now.
Thanks, Al. Aaron Taylor-Smith worth keeping an eye on here in the Toyota, because he's looking very quick on that section through Tower Bend. So the number 40 car getting onto the tail of the first of the BMWs now, Daryl De Leon, and he certainly pulled away from Charles Rainford. So Taylor-Smith, he didn't have a great start to the race, but he's sort of crawled back into this, hasn't he, and back up to 7th place now. Ingram, meanwhile, though, Josh, looks like he's just got a bit too much pace for Dan Camish. He's starting to edge away again, isn't he? Yeah,
massive middle sector there from Tom Ingram, the fastest of the race. So just getting quicker and quicker is Tom Ingram, even with the race going on this far. Dan
Robotham might have a developing issue here, because on the front of the car he's picked up a bit of boarding, so the red and white stuck to the front grille of the Focus. Hopefully that's not going to affect the airflow and therefore the temperature, but we saw this at Thruxton, didn't we, with another Napa car of Sutton when he got the number plate stuck, and that overheated the car and started to cause issues later on in the race. So keep an eye on that Dan Robotham car as Aaron Taylor-Smith in 7th closes the door and closes up once again to the BMW of Daryl De Leon. He's very good under braking. That was on the way through Clervaux.
Because of the puncture on Ash Sutton's car, it overloaded the power steering. So therefore they had to do a reset on the car, and that's why he didn't go straight away.
Tom Chilton has a big look down the inside of Dan Robotham going into Tower Bend. There's almost contact between them, between the front left of the Hyundai and the right rear corner of the Focus, but they get away with it.
Chilton's on the boost, Robotham isn't, so this is the best opportunity for Tom Chilton to make the move, perhaps towards the end of the lap, should he have any of that boost left on this particular lap. And of course, with that potential overheating concern for Dan Robotham, that's going to make it even more difficult, although he is sticking with Senna Proctor ahead of him. He hops over the curbs as Dan Robotham and carries so much speed out of Sunny out. That means he is out of attack from the car behind of Tom Chilton. So for now, Dan Robotham still 4th, and if anything, he's just as close to Senna Proctor.
Don't rule out Senna either, because of that lead group, he's the one with the most laps of boost available to him, 4, although he's got to defend from Dan Robotham to start with, and through the hairpin that got pretty close. But coming in, certainly into the complex, that green Hyundai of Senna Proctor getting very close to Dan Camish. Dan got a bit away from him coming out of the hairpin because he was busy defending from Dan's teammate, the other Dan Robotham. But all concertinas up again as they filter into that tight section through the right-hander at Hawthorne, and then they carry on right and then eventually go left through the chicane and back onto the back straights. Just spread out a little bit between them now. I'd also say that Daryl De Leon had a good lap there, didn't he? He's on the boost at the moment in that BMW. He's pulled back away from Aaron Taylor-Smith.
One potential concern for the race leader, Tom Ingram, is he is now being given a driving standards flag for track limits at the chicane at turn 5. So he's just got to go the right side of the curve for the final 2 laps of this race. Has Tom Ingram, who leads by 1.3 seconds. It still looks super sketchy through the Jim Clark S's in these touring cars. They are sliding around constantly, and perhaps being careful through the chicane. Ingram's lost 3 attempts through the first sector, so that bit closer is Dan Camish to the race leader.
Mikey Doble making the most of that safety car restart. He's got himself back into the points in the Vauxhall, back up into 15th, and the 2 cars directly ahead of him. He's on the soft tyre, they're on the hard tyre, Moffat and Osborne. In comes the battle for 4th place into the complex. Dan Robotham as much looking in the mirrors as he is forwards into that hairpin. He daren't leave a big gap on the way into the hairpin because he knows Chilton's going to lunge down the inside if that's the case. But you also can't go too tight into that hairpin As a racing driver once told me, that hairpin is all about being slow in and quick out, because you've got a very long straight after that, and if you're too tight to the apex, then it's really difficult to get on the power early coming out of the corner. So defend it as much as you can, but don't over-defend is the case for Dan Rowbottom, and he's doing a sterling job of that at the moment. Every time Chilton gets close to him, he does just enough not to invite the move up the inside into that left-hander.
The top 6 drivers can all use the boost on this final lap of the race, so they'll be doing that to either attack or to defend. That big battle for third position continues between Stella Proctor, Dan Rowbottom and Tom Chilton as they turn in towards Tower Corner. Probably one of the best overtaking opportunities, but none of them were able to make it stick. Jim Clark-S has come up next, which is all about commitment. You tend not to overtake through there, and then there's limited opportunities for positional changes. But for Tom Ingram, he's looking good for win number 3 of 2025.
So half a lap to go. Ingram has been in control of this meeting since the word go, since they first turned a wheel in free practice 1 yesterday, and he's on course to move into the championship lead with Ash Sutton out of the points. In he comes to the complex then. He goes left, he goes right, just one more corner to go for the 2022 champion. He's about to become the 2025 championship leader. He exits the hairpin and he pulls across to the pit wall and weaves his way over the line to cheer to his team and his fans. Over the line, he takes the checkered flag. Tom Ingram wins the first race of the weekend. He wins round 16 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, with Dan Camish coming home in second. Senna Proctor on the podium. Fantastic. He has been in the top 10 in every race so far since he's come back, and now he's on the podium. Brilliant drive from Senna Proctor after a great qualifying. Dan Rowbottom had to work really hard for that 4th place. Tom Chilton was glued to him throughout, but he did it. He finished 4th, Chilton in 5th, De Leon in 6th place with a great drive as well. Aaron Taylor-Smith bouncing back to 7th, Charles Rainford coming home in 8th, Dan Lloyd in 9th, and all of the top 9 were on the soft tyre. The first on the hard tyres was Adam Morgan in 10th place. He's got that out of the way now. He'll have the better tyre going forwards. 11th, Gordon Shedden, after that, remember, contact with Chris Smiley, which brought about the safety car. 12th, he's also got the hard tyre out of the way. 12th was Patterson. 13th was Moffat. He's got the hard tyre out of the way. 14th was Osborne. Hard tyre done and dusted. He can go on the softs for the rest of the day. And then 15th, Mikey Doble rescued a championship point out of that, out of spinning on lap 1. Out of the points in 16th was Jelly. Halstead in 18th. Dorlin in 19th. Dropped back mid-race. And then Buxton finishes his first race in the BTCC 19th. 20th, but a lap down. Ash Sutton, which is where Ash is going to have to start for the next race. At least, though, he'll be on the soft tyre. But expect fireworks from Ash Sutton. That puncture putting pay to what was otherwise a really good drive, wasn't it?